So the key to a healthy, resilient gut lies in something known as microbial diversity. And what that means is that you have a high number of different species of bacteria that are spread out across your gut microbiome. These various species of gut bacteria serve very important functions, such as aiding digestion, absorption and production of essential nutrients, maintaining the gut barrier, production of short-chain fatty acids, production of B vitamins and vitamin K, and so much more. The more diverse your gut bacteria are, the greater the potential they have to support all of these functions. Having a rich and diverse gut microbiome has become an important biomarker for gut health because numerous studies have shown that when you have lower microbial diversity, this causes an increase in various diseases across the board. Inflammatory bowel disease, diabetes, autoimmune disorders, skin disorders, cardiovascular disease, thyroid problems, and virtually many more diseases. When Hippocrates said that all disease begins in the gut, I'm not sure if he realized how powerful that statement would be 2,400 years later. Almost every chronic health problem is really influenced to some degree by the health of our gut. Well, if you're someone who doesn't have the greatest of gut health, stay tuned because I have some good news for you. There are several simple ways that you can enhance this microbial diversity and improve your gut health. And that's the topic of today's video. There, I'm Dr. Hagmeyer, and in today's video, I want to give you several dietary tips and really strategies to help improve your gut microbiome diversity. Now, I've got 9 gut health tips, and I promise you that one of them is going to be an absolute game changer for you. Okay, so number 1 is eat more fermented foods and probiotic foods. Fermented foods undergo a process where natural bacteria feed on the sugars and the starches in that food, creating lactic acid. And it's this process that not only preserves the food, but also cultivates beneficial bacteria, commonly known as probiotics. Foods like sauerkraut, yogurt, kefir, kimchi, miso, these contain live beneficial bacteria known as probiotics. And so consuming these fermented foods is a great way of introducing new bacterial strains into the gut to support this microbial diversity. Now, opt for unpasteurized and naturally fermented products for maximum probiotic content. If you're new to fermented foods, start slow to allow your gut to adjust to the influx of these new bacteria. But after a while, a daily intake of these fermented foods really can provide a wide variety of probiotic strains that bring diversity and beneficial bacteria back into your gut. Polyphenols. While probiotics are fermented foods that often steal the limelight, polyphenols are another crucial component for enhancing gut health and increasing bacterial biodiversity. Eating colorful fruits and vegetables that contain these polyphenols, like flavonoids and carotenoids, these really feed the gut bacteria, especially Bifidobacterium and Akkermansia muciniphila, which is something I've done a video on. Polyphenols act as food for these beneficial bacteria, particularly strains like Bifidobacterium and Lactobacillus. Now, these bacteria break down these polyphenols, they proliferate, and they contribute to a richer and more diverse gut ecosystem, which is what we all want. Now, when polyphenols are metabolized by gut bacteria, they produce bioactive compounds that further promote and enhance our gut flora. Things like short-chain fatty acids, like butyrate, propionate, and acetate. These, again, are very beneficial for our gut lining. They're important for reducing inflammation, and again, very important for the overall diversity. Now, if you have low levels of either of these bacteria, you are more likely to develop metabolic disorders, intestinal inflammation, yeast infections, and again, a leaky gut. Now, if you didn't watch my video on Akkermansia, be sure to check out that in the description box where I promise I'm going to leave a link. Okay, number 3 is you need to increase your fiber, right? Increasing the amount of fiber that we eat is one of the best ways to improve gut bacterial diversity. Again, a diverse gut microbiome is resilient, it's adaptive, it's better able to respond to the various immune challenges, which might be, in some cases, dietary changes, or in some cases, infections. There are 2 main types of fiber, soluble and insoluble. Both types really play an important role in gut health, but they do so in slightly different ways. Soluble fiber, on one hand, this is the type of fiber that dissolves in water and forms a gel-like substance. It can be fermented by bacteria in the large intestines, and it can also produce these short-chain fatty acids like the butyrate, the acetate, and the propionate that I've talked about. Insoluble fibers, on the other hand, this type of fiber doesn't dissolve in water, but it does add bulk to the stool, and it helps speed up the passage of food throughout our GI tract. You see, when you consume fiber and starches from fruits, vegetables, nuts, seeds, the bacteria in our gut begin to ferment them, and it's the process that produces these short-chain fatty acids. And in turn, it's these short-chain fatty acids that have anti-inflammatory properties, immune regulatory properties, they're anti-diabetic, they're anti-cancer, they're cardiovascular protective, they're liver protective, and finally they're neuroprotective. They protect our brains. And so when you eat more fiber, especially different types of fiber, you start nourishing and supporting different types of microbes. And this leads to, again, more diverse microbial community. Again, different bacteria prefer different types of fiber. So a diet that is high in different types of fiber provide a broader range of food for these different bacterial species, and ultimately greater bacterial diversity. So tip number 4 is minimize the use of antibiotics, right? If there's one thing that you should remember when it comes to bacterial diversity, you should remember that antibiotics severely reduce microbial diversity in our bodies. There's no way around it. Antibiotics work by killing bacteria, both harmful and beneficial. And of course, they're helpful in eradicate infections, but they do come with consequences. Take antibiotics, this broad spectrum antibiotic really disrupts the delicate balance of our gut microbiota. And this again often leads to a major decrease in our microbial gut diversity. When beneficial bacteria are eliminated and we've reduced that bacterial diversity, guess what? This is when these opportunistic disease bacteria and yeast begin to flourish and putting our body and our health at risk. So to minimize the effects of antibiotics, you always want to judiciously consider taking a post-antibiotic probiotic supplementation, really in an effort to help minimize the damaging effects of these antibiotics. But I want to be clear, taking a probiotic doesn't necessarily mean it's your get out of jail card, right? In some cases, the changes that take place in our microbiome caused by antibiotics can't be reversed. Okay, so tip number 5 is probiotics, right? Incorporating high quality probiotic supplements into your daily regimen can really be a game changer for many of us with gut health issues. Probiotic supplements introduce, again, these beneficial bacteria directly into the gut, which begin to help colonize the intestinal lining and then outcompete or compete with these harmful pathogenic bacteria. Now, when it comes to selecting probiotics to increase gut microbial diversity, it's important to note that individual responses to probiotics can obviously vary. However, there are several strains that have been studied extensively that show promising results in promoting, again, more diversity within our gut microbiota. Now, some of the best probiotic strains known for their ability to increase gut microbial diversity, that's a mouthful, include things like Lactobacillus acidophilus, Bifidobacterium bifidum, Lactobacillus plantarum, and Lactobacillus rhamnosus. And if you can't remember all those, don't worry, I will put that in the description. Now, it's important to choose probiotic supplements that contain multiple strains or as many different strains as possible because, again, these different strains have different effects on the gut microbiome. Look for products that mention the specific strains they contain and that they've been tested for their efficacy and their stability. Okay, so tip number 6 is avoid processed foods. Now, if you're serious about improving gut diversity, in addition to minimizing the use of antibiotics and consuming fermented foods and eating more fiber and increasing foods that are rich in polyphenols, it's also going to be important to eliminate processed foods. The standard American diet is junk. It's one of the most damaging things to our gut diversity, our gut microbiome. It's high in refined sugar, it's high in the wrong kinds of fats, it's low in fiber, it's low in polyphenols, it's low in short-chain fatty acids. High sugar consumption can lead to hyperglycemia, and the high fat consumption can cause the levels of toxic bile acids to rise. A diet that's low in fiber, low in polyphenols, high in protein, and fat-like diet contribute to the production of these toxic metabolites in the body. Taken together, each of these begin to break down our gut barrier. As the mucus layer becomes thinner and thinner and thinner, we're now at an increased risk for that leaky gut syndrome that you hear me talk about over and over and over again. So by avoiding processed foods, following an anti-inflammatory diet that's rich in polyphenols, rich in fiber, you're going to be nourishing these gut bacteria, and this in turn will encourage their growth, and this in turn will also improve your gut microbiome. Okay, tip number 7, alcohol, smoking, sugar. While we're on the topic of food and lifestyle habits, I take a bit of a different stance and a stronger stance when it comes to alcohol, smoking, and sugar. If you are serious about your gut health, you need to stop drinking alcohol, you need to stop smoking, and you need to stop consuming as much sugar as you do. These 3 things, sugar, alcohol, and smoking, guess what? They provide zero benefit to our gut and zero benefit to our health. When it comes to the health of our gut, and some doctors want to tiptoe and use words like reduce, which to be honest with you, I think is absurd. And I'm not going to sugarcoat this for you. Alcohol alters the composition of our gut bacteria. It promotes the growth of harmful species of bacteria. It reduces all the beneficial ones. And again, it's this shift in microbial balance that's been linked to various gastrointestinal issues and immune system dysregulation. Alcohol has been shown to shift microbial populations that promote the development of small intestinal bacterial overgrowth as well as yeast overgrowth in our gut. It's also been shown to thin out the mucus layer of the gut that leads to, guess what? Increased intestinal permeability, or that leaky gut syndrome that you hear me talking about all the time. When it comes to smoking, smoking here again is known to negatively affect various aspects of health, and its impact on gut microbial diversity is again no exception. Studies have shown that smoking raises the pH of the intestinal environment. That's not good. It makes it more alkaline. And what this does is it promotes chronic low-grade inflammation. It promotes oxidative stress. It promotes tissue damage. And again, due in part to that excess free radicals that are generated. All of these things alter the gut microbial composition, reduce microbial diversity, promote the growth of harmful disease-causing bacteria. Again, when it comes to sugar, well, again, this one should just make common sense, right? Consumption of refined sugars and sugary foods can have a detrimental effect on our gut microbiome, and especially the diversity, for many of the same reasons that alcohol and smoking does, right? It's very damaging to the gut. Now, a diet high in sugar feeds, again, those harmful bacteria at the expense of the good ones, the beneficial bacteria. Again, this imbalance results in increased intestinal permeability, leaky gut, it causes inflammation, and again, it puts you at a higher risk for all kinds of metabolic disorders, cardiovascular diseases. So if you're serious about promoting a diverse and healthy gut microbiome, it's crucial to eliminate refined sugars, alcohol, and smoking. But again, only do this if you're serious about improving your gut health. All right, so tip number 8, again, is going to be manage stress and cortisol levels. The gut and the brain are intricately connected through a two-way communication pathway known as the gut-brain axis. Now, I've talked about this many times in many different videos, many different articles, but this pathway allows constant communication between the gut microbiota and our brains. Again, studies have shown that both acute and chronic stress really alters motility, it alters digestion, it alters intestinal inflammation, as well as altering the balance and the diversity of our gut bacteria. Diversity and the health of the gut microbiome really have an inverse relationship. In other words, the less gut diversity you have, the sicker your gut microbiome is. And stress is one of those things that impacts our health in several different ways and impacts our health microbiome in several different ways. You see, during times of stress, your adrenal glands are producing a hormone called cortisol. When cortisol levels are elevated, it's going to suppress our immune system defenses. Namely, it's going to suppress something called secretory IgA. Now, secretory IgA is your first line of defense against invaders in the mucosal tissues of your body, your respiratory passages, your gastrointestinal. When these stress hormones run high and secretory IgA levels run low, you're going to run into issues with permeability. Your gut barrier is going to begin to break down, leading to this leaky gut syndrome. And if you're going to develop all kinds of bacterial, parasitic, fungal infections because of this, secretory IgA keeps this all in check. Research has also shown that these high cortisol levels can directly impact the composition and the diversity of gut bacteria, meaning that stress decreases the good beneficial bacteria, and guess what? It increases the pathogenic, harmful, disease-causing bacteria. Studies have also shown that this shift and this change in this microbial composition can lead to chronic issues like chronic gut inflammation. And this chronic gut inflammation can have significant impacts on, again, the gut-brain axis. So if you want to know more about this gut-brain axis and how it's the root cause of various physical and mental health problems, I'm going to, again, leave a link for that in the description because I've done videos on this and articles on this on my website as well. What else can we do to improve gut diversity? Well, if you're a mom or a soon-to-be mom, this tip is for you. Research shows that nursing your baby and avoiding C-sections improves bacterial diversity in your baby's gut, as well as improving their immune system. Now, I realize that pharmaceutical companies who manufacture baby formula would want you to believe that powdered milk and formula in a can is just as good as your breast milk. But again, these are just more lies that are promoted by companies with lots of money to spend on marketing and advertising. There is nothing better than breast milk. And if you can nurse your baby and avoid C-sections, you'll be helping your baby for years to come. Now, when it comes to breast milk contains live microbes. It contains immunoglobulins, and it contains just a rich supply of something known as oligosaccharides that really are designed to enrich good bacteria in your baby's gut. It's really how babies develop passive immunity and build up good bacteria in their guts. Okay, well, there you go. 9 tips to promote gut diversity. Now, I hope you learned a few things and that you enjoyed today's video. If you like today's video's content and you want to know more about the ways that you can improve your gut health, here's 2 more videos that I recommend that you watch. You can watch one here, and I think the other one will show up right here.